I used to come home from work and question why my wife couldn't get anything done in the house. She had 8 hours while I was at work, more than enough time to get things done, and yet it seemed like she just couldn't get anything done around the house with the kids. And so when my boys were 3 and 5, the Lord brought me home for a year and sent her to work. And after about 3 weeks, I understood why she couldn't get anything done around the house. I used to think people who were on food stamps needed to just go out and get a job. It's not that hard. I'd never been without a job at any point in my entire life. In fact, I'd always been able to make money and find work and never had any issues. Then one day when we had 2 kids and 2 cats, we were so poor that we had to walk to the grocery store because we couldn't afford gas and groceries. And we were on food stamps, and even when I attempted to report income, they would try to reduce my food stamps to the amount of income as though that income was ongoing instead of it just being a one-time contract, even though it was just a one-time contract. It got so bad that I remember one night being at the store and trying to buy some ice cream, and I was buying it with my food stamps. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself that if I could just get this ice cream, it would make everything feel normal for us and the kids, and it would make things feel okay. Then one day, after reporting my income and basically being treated like a criminal, even though I called to report my own income, I finally understood the desperation and the hopelessness that you can get to. I used to look at people whose houses were messy, who were out of shape, who didn't have their life in order, and think, why don't you just do the work? You just get up and you work out. You just take care of business. You just do what you need to do. Until over a course of 6 years, I had to move 3 times, and every one of those moves, I was given 60 days to figure out the move. One of those moves being completely across the country, and 2 of those situations being with a complete loss of income 60 days before I had to figure out the move. And in the middle of all that, having a miscarriage, a 3-year-old, and a company fail. While simultaneously turning 40, where my metabolism is slowed down and just isn't quite what it once was. And so as I was standing in my garage trying to clear out the chaos that's left over so that I could pack it up in my gigantic storage that has basically my entire life in it right now, while I've got my family of 5 packed into a 3-bedroom apartment. I'm behind on pretty much every bill I have. My brakes are just about gone and need to be replaced. My windshield is busted, and I can't keep my house clean to save my life. From the outside, it looks like I am a complete and utter failure, and I must have just made the worst possible decisions that a human being can make to get to where I am right now. But here's the thing. A storm can hit anyone. What I've learned in all of this is that we want it to be their fault. When we see a person whose life is wrecked, we need it to be their fault for 2 reasons. Either we need it to be their fault so that we don't have to help. Because if it's not their fault, if they really did just get hit by a storm, if they really are doing everything they possibly can and it's just life is just not cooperating, then at that moment we feel an obligation that we need to step in and help, that we need to participate in their pain. And if our life is going well, nobody wants to be part of that pain. In fact, in some ways we need it to be their fault, because if it's not their fault, then it could happen to us. But if it's their fault, then that means that as long as we continue doing a good job and we continue doing all the things that we're doing, then we'll be okay. That can't happen to me because I'm doing all the right things. But the truth is, it can happen to anyone, and it can happen at any time. Life can send you storms that you would never expect, and the thing is that it's not always the outside circumstances, it's sometimes the circumstances are formulated in such a way that you don't have the energy to keep picking yourself back up. I've been looking at just where I am right now. Like, I need to get up early and go work out because I've got my daughter all day, and I can't work out during the day because my wife's at the office. Nighttime workouts aren't good for me just because it keeps me awake. But I'm struggling to get up early. And then I'm looking at it and I'm going, why am I struggling? Why can't I just will myself to get up? Why can't I just snap my fingers and get that workout going like I used to be able to do? But the problem is that in the last year, I've gone through, or really the last 6 years, I just laid all of that out. Everything I've gone through in the last 6 years has taken a toll. It's not just what happened yesterday or 5 days ago or a week ago or 6 months ago. All of these things pile up. And when you don't get a break, when you go through what I've gone through for the last 6 years with really no actual break, it's just been this constant not knowing what's going to happen, constant uncertainty, constant things falling out, or constantly having to push with everything that you have, believing that it's all going to work out, only to come to the end and have your entire ship get blown up. When you have to keep getting up every single day and fighting just to keep your sanity, just to engage your kids lovingly instead of losing your crap on them or completely unplugging from the situation. Sometimes all you have the energy for is to just make sure that everybody got fed and survived the day. And the thing is, I never imagined that I could be pressed to that point. I never imagined that I could reach a place where psychologically I'm actually struggling to get myself out of bed to go do the things that need to be done. Something as simple as just getting the laundry done or just checking the mail. Guys, when you go through a period where every time that you check the mail, it's somebody, a creditor suing you, or somebody telling you that something else broke, or a bill is about to get shut off, when every time you check the mail for a year, it's just one more shoe dropping, you get to the point where you literally have PTSD, where you can't check the mail because you just can't take one more thing going wrong. Now here's the thing. I'm not sharing any of this for sympathy. God is good. He has me. I'm not concerned. I'm sharing this because I want anyone who's watching this who might have thought the way that I thought to understand that if somebody is struggling to pick themselves back up, if somebody is struggling to hold their life together, it's so easy to just write it off as they just need to try harder. It's so easy to assume that they're the problem, that they're just being irresponsible, or that they're just not working hard enough, or they've just made bad decisions. And here's the thing. Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes they did make a bad decision. Sometimes their bad decision is what brought them to that moment. But have you ever made a bad decision? Have you ever made a choice, made a mistake, and gotten yourself into a bad situation? Let the person who's lived a perfect life, who's never made a poor choice, who's never made a mistake and had their life fall apart because they didn't know that that decision was going to lead to the level of destruction that they experienced, let that person go ahead and cast the first stone. One of the worst things about capitalism and this amazing free market that we have here in this country, where anybody can start anything, anyone can do anything, is that it creates the illusion that just because the opportunity exists, that everyone has the same capacity and resources to capitalize on it. And what that creates is a deep lack of compassion for a person who is struggling. And that is the thing that we have got to get back. That is the thing that, as the body of Christ, the thing that we need to do as the body, we need to have compassion for the people that are in the body who are struggling. If someone's having a hard time, if somebody is struggling to pull their life together, What they need is not judgment. What they need is not someone to tell them how irresponsible they're being. What they need is not someone to tell them that they suck. What they need is somebody to help. If you see somebody who has their house as a mess or their house is falling apart, they don't need someone to tell them how they could manage their life better to keep their house clean. They need someone to show up to their house and clean their house for them. Sometimes that reset is all that someone needs to be able to get back on track. Someone did that for me once. One time, everything was just in shambles. Our life was just falling apart all over the place. And someone that I knew, they just came over, and out of the kindness of their heart, they just cleaned our house. Now, everything else in our life was falling apart, but just being able to put my house back together for a moment gave me the breathing room that I needed, the little bit of just hope that I needed to be able to take a few actions that I needed to move the ball forward and get things rolling again. We actually kept the house clean for months after that. You see, that's the thing. Sometimes what people don't realize, what you don't understand, is that when someone is drowning, all they need is someone to pull them up for just a few minutes, just a little bit of air. Sometimes all a person needs is just a little bit of help to get things back on track. And you know, the worst part is it's the most capable people that never get the help that they need and end up being the ones who are underwater for way longer than they should have been. Because people on the outside look at the ones that are the most capable and assume that because they had the capability, they should just be able to pull themselves up and they shouldn't need help. But the truth is that I am ridiculously capable. I am unbelievably talented. My skill base is so robust. People who don't know me, you don't understand the level of capability that I have. I've published 2 books, self-published, sold over 500 copies of one of them, and it has 4.5 stars on Amazon. I've founded a company. I've been an executive. I've been a C-level executive. But sitting here in this moment, I don't have the strength to pull myself out of bed right now and just go work out. Just go for a run. It should be the simplest thing. Guys, you don't understand. I went through a workout period about 2 years ago where I cut 30 pounds and I dropped my BMI by 20% at age 39, okay? Just to put this into perspective for you. This wasn't back in my 20s. This was recently. I have unbelievable discipline. I have the ability to do hard things. I have the ability and the template to get up and go do that level of workout. And yet, in this moment that I'm in right now, even though there really isn't anything externally, like there's not this massive external pressure, I'm not working, a super difficult job or anything like that. There's nothing really happening right now other than the last 6 years of my life have just taken it out of me. And has left me in a place where it is a struggle to do something that is simple. Sometimes it's a struggle just to get the laundry into the basket where it belongs. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not sharing this because I'm looking for pity. I'm sharing this because I want to help you. If you're watching this, I want you to change your perspective. I want you to realize that capable people sometimes need help. Sometimes the most capable people are the ones that need help to reset, to get things back on track. So don't assume just because they have the ability doesn't mean that they have the capacity in this moment. And that's what we have to offer each other. Sometimes what we have to offer each other is the additional capacity. Sometimes it's just encouragement. Sometimes it's just somebody showing up and saying, hey, how are you doing? Right? Like, we are so caught up in our own lives and in our own mess and in our own issues that I think sometimes we forget that the people around us just need us to have a little bit of awareness. We've got to start having more compassion for each other. And we've got to stop assuming that because they can, that they can. Because sometimes, even though you have the ability to do a thing, life can take you to a place where you just don't have the capacity to do the thing. And that's where we need each other the most.